What's up guys? Welcome to AnimeKouhai. If you'd like to help me out, please hit the like button and subscribe to my channel.
Ciel's plan, however, didn't finish there. It was able to speak with Rimuru more easily than ever before, and it was even able to employ the art of speech as a means of pursuing Velgrynd. But in regards to Velgrynd,
"You've got to be joking, right? Consumed by you? Cardinal acceleration, my most powerful skill, was simply devoured by you?"
she was unable to understand what Rimuru was saying. Even though she was only temporarily unable to move while the combat was still in progress, it was a catastrophic mistake.
"I apologize for bothering you while you're still in disbelief over the failure of your amazing attack. But you did remember that this is a fight, right?"
By the time he asked, it was too late. Rimuru fully backed Ciel because of its consistency in action.
Velgrynd's magicule count has been calculated. I came to the conclusion that it is possible to imprison the target in insulated imprisonment for several hundred seconds, after taking into consideration the nature and qualities of the subject. Activating.
Before Velgrynd knew it, she was encircled by a multi-layered magic circle. Spatial insulation and Ural's unlimited imprisonment were combined to create this compound skill. She was caught in it because Ciel had just created it, just to use against Velgrynd. Ciel had fully calculated every aspect of the combat airspace, including its temperature, humidity, gravity, wind currents, sunshine, and the pulses of any nearby living things. No matter what Velgrynd did, it would be impossible for her to leave this airspace because everything was in Ciel's hands. Velgrynd became lightheaded from the glaring light of this insulated imprisonment announced by Ciel.
How? How could he have it so simple?
The dragon's red body shook in shame at being defeated. The insulated imprisonment, however, remained unaffected despite her best efforts.
"Alright, hold on in there for a little bit, please. After I release Veldora, I'll play with you."
With those words, Velgrynd's defeat was declared conclusively.
"All right. I'll give in this time. However, my parallel existence continues. I can just trace a soul corridor out of here, regardless of whether this is insulated imprisonment or not."
There was one more move Velgrynd could make. Giving up her current body would be required, but the duplicate she placed next to Rudra as a backup would receive the majority of her remaining energy. Although it was horribly embarrassing, it wasn't the end for her yet. She began working slowly and deliberately, making sure Rimuru wasn't watching. Without realizing it, she started slowly moving magicules across her soul corridor, exactly what Ciel wanted. Gotta give Raphael credit. I mean Ciel. I gave it the name on a whim because it appeared a little depressing to me, and I think it was happy about it than I anticipated. After all, its earlier robotic responses to me were considerably more natural and human-like. I believe it has significantly improved. I'm curious as to what happened to it just before because it was in such good condition presently. It had previously repeatedly switched to auto battle mode against me, but now it was using talents and acting in a variety of bizarre ways. The scope of everything was completely new. Even Velgrynd, who to me seemed so powerful, couldn't stand a chance against it. It was a brilliant idea to have her activate her finisher skill first, then wait for her magicule count to decrease as soon as it was done. That makes it sound simple, but I have no idea how much processing power would be required to make this viable. It only worked because of the interaction between my skills and the ways in which she responded to specific situations. We were, after all, presumably outclassed in magicule count. Therefore, if we intended to imprison this superior adversary, we needed an insulated imprisonment constructed effectively using only the elements in which I had an advantage. Call it a calculated prison that my partner and I made. That's what it took for Ciel to win a full victory. The key question in this operation was whether or not I could fend off Velgrynd's assault. I trusted Ciel's calculation when it said I could, but if she misinterpreted it, I would also perish. How come I believed it? Simple. I informed Ciel that Velgrynd was under the control of Veldora, with whom I was interacting. I was certain that it could pull it off, and to my absolute satisfaction, it exceeded my expectations. Ciel completed the task better than I could have by utilizing my skills. That's my buddy for you, then. I was now much more impressed with Ciel. Ciel was now more trustworthy than ever for me as a result of an unanticipated blessing. But I couldn't let go of my goal. I had to set Veldora's mind free before Velgrynd took any further action.
"So, exactly how long can we keep her at bay?"
The insulated imprisonment would continue to hold for a total of 200 more seconds, even if Velgrynd went on a violent rampage. But I don't think we should be concerned about it.
"Why, exactly? Though Velgrynd still poses a serious threat, even 3 minutes were something to be thankful for. I can't simply ignore it the entire time."
Velgrynd is currently attempting to flee, as was expected. I contemplated the idea that she'd depart without caring too much about this duplication in front of us, since I was aware that she could utilize a soul corridor to move energy away from her.
I see? Or I believe I do. If her real body could be replicated in any fashion, would it really be necessary to push her way out of this insulated prison? Or perhaps there was, which is why Ciel set up a weakness that Velgrynd could try to take advantage of. That's correct. Velgrynd overtly displayed her hand by fumbling with parallel existence and using it without hesitation against the three demonesses and Veldora. Ciel had enough data to examine because I had been keeping an eye on everything. It was impossible for Velgrynd's parallel existence to create an endless supply of clones. Ciel must have calculated her magicule holding capacity to the point where it was aware of it. Once we knew that, we would know how many more replications we needed to process before she was vanquished. Ciel, in contrast, started there and worked backward. It figured Velgrynd had an insurance policy, so it enticed her into escaping into it. If I had a power that was advantageous, I would definitely act in a similar manner, but my replications do not have access to ultimate skills. It was a little infuriating, but I was prepared to concede defeat. In the end, the ostensibly all-powerful parallel existence was really only useful as a ruse or against a weaker foe. Depending on the opponent, it's still very useful insurance, and I can think of a few entertaining uses for it. However, it just didn't appear to work against someone of a higher rank or an equal. However, Ciel was the one who made that flaw public by revealing it to everyone. Actually, I'm a little afraid of its computing power. It appeared as though Ciel had predicted the future because everything was going just as Ciel wanted. Although the progress it has made is somewhat irksome, Ciel is still my partner. It is best to put unnecessary concerns to rest and focus on the task at hand. Ciel had defeated Velgrynd, the most powerful of the true dragons, and I wasn't about to fall behind.
Okay. However, I'm going to use all of my strength against Veldora right away just in case, so I can be guaranteed to finish in under 200 seconds. Ciel, lend me a hand.
As desired.
I, or Ciel and I suppose, faced Veldora, who was the target of our main objective. I had some valuable time that Ciel had earned for me. It wasn't much, perhaps, but to us, it seemed like an eternity. If we didn't make the most of it, I'd never get over it. Could we manage it? We had already begun, the question wasn't that. As I continued to attack Veldora, I made up my mind to do so. After releasing Veldora, take down Rudra. Those were my goals, and I wanted to accomplish them, not simply because Guy urged me to. I was returning to my normal frame of mind because Ciel's birth had taken me by surprise so greatly. My calm had long ago returned, but that didn't mean my rage was any less intense. I made the decision to hold onto that rage until I could unleash it on Emperor Rudra. First things first, though. So how can I go about approaching Veldora? I was initially attempting to speak with him. It was simple to talk of ruling over Veldora, but considering that we were dealing with a true dragon who had enormous energy reserves, it must be quite difficult. One of the most challenging undertakings I can think of is taking over a spiritual life form's will. There were, in my opinion, several forms of subjection. You forced the person to obey your will, heart, and soul in the charm-based method. Another was based on coercion, which revoked their right to free choice and required them to comply. A third method was complete domination, in which the victim was unaware that they were being ruled. The list kept going forever. Yuki exercised complete dominance over his followers, but in Kigali's case, it was more based on coercion, and Veldora was also coping with that. There are various levels on which this coercion might operate. The target may be given directives while still having some degree of free will, or they may have all of their free will be taken away, becoming mindless robots. Kigali didn't seem to have any remaining free will at the moment, but what about Veldora? I reasoned that it would be beneficial to attempt calling out to him because spiritual life forms all had tremendously powerful wills, which I didn't think could be eliminated so quickly. However, Veldora's resistance was simply too strong. I believed his orders were to kill the enemy, which would have been me, but he was simply cruel, letting all restraint go out the window. Even with Ciel taking care of Velgrynd for me, Veldora by herself was still proving to be a difficult opponent. I could still counteract his actions with my variety of storm-type abilities because I still had them available, but with the extreme power he possessed, doing so would only take up more of my time. In other words, we weren't really in the mood to talk. We were in that situation when I made the decision to let Ciel defend on my behalf. Although the control probability issue was challenging, I had faith that Ciel would be able to solve it. As I attempted to go closer to Veldora, I thought, now the real work starts. While the area around me was experiencing gale force winds, I was in the calm center of a storm. It felt incredibly relieving. Even if Ciel wasn't as stressed out as I was at the time, everything from Veldora was being offset. It didn't even come close to touching my magicules, and best of all, I was in fantastic form. No doubt.
Through their soul corridors, the demons working for you have been providing you support based on the food chain.
Was that it? I see. Although it seemed like I was gaining stronger, I was able to compete with Veldora because of my other allies. There was no way I could fail once I realized that. I took advantage of the opportunity to cry out to Veldora after finally getting in front of him.
Veldora, I'm sorry to keep you. Do you remember me?
No response. He did give out a thunderstorm roar, but that was all. I was so upset that I unconsciously slammed him with my fists. But despite what anyone may have predicted, he continued. If only physical force had been used in the attack, he would not have sustained much injury. But I didn't mind at all. My intention was to shake Veldora awake rather than kill him. For the time being, I would only beat him severely. I did this by continuing to strike Veldora as hard as I could in the face. In reality, I was in too close of a range for most of his attack options to be effective. Numerous spells and skills would end up striking him as well. He might continue whipping them out carelessly while under control like this, but I assumed Ciel would take care of that. A blow, another blow, a kick follows. But Veldora's only response was a yell.
What do you think of imprisoning Veldora in your complex space and employing predation on him?
I found Ciel's suggestion to be quite ominous. Was something like that possible? If it was a yes/no question, I was kind of leaning toward yes.
Not an issue. If I get the order, I can carry it out right away because Beelzebub is under my authority.
It's definitely reliable, I suppose. It was amusing to consider that Predation, a species-specific slime skill, was the precursor to Beelzebub, Lord of Gluttony, this all-powerful ultimate skill. Because of that, handling it was always so simple, it couldn't have been better tailored toward me. I assumed it would function on Veldora as well since that Ciel has further improved it. Beelzebub could now be called upon from any location on my body as I had become a demon lord slime, a demon slime, if you will. In fact, my target didn't even need to be in close proximity to me any longer. However, it gained strength as I drew nearer to the opposing group, so now that I was within shooting distance of Veldora, I anticipated a significant performance.
Attention anime fans, episode 15 of Solo Leveling is live. The action just leveled up, Jinwoo's powers are unleashed, and Baiko's secret plan is in motion. Dive in now.
That's it for this video, guys. Thank you for always watching my videos and supporting my channel. A big thanks to the AnimeKouhai patrons who made this video possible. Jared Bressler, Chad Vota, Chris Guzman, Havox, Speed Saber, James Waters, Arijit Das, Curtis Loban, Judah Herrera, Justa Guy, Misael W. Hernandez, Jason Martin, Zach Rossan, Byron, Jarius Ladek, Alfonso Smith, Donald Williams, Moab A, Day of Light, John M, John Charles, Godman Gaming, Akon Engok, Markithian Tidwell, Andre L. Hamilton, Adrian, Kumo, Sanketh Chelu, T. Bush, John L., Edgar Fuentes, JV, Dirty Old Hobo, Gonse Direco, Thomas, J., Christ, Juan Ignacio, Joshua Cousins, Jose Hernandez, Vethelny, Lunel Scarlett, Khaled, Christian Deshazer, Cal Robs, Divine C. Harris, Destiny Smith, Panda Cats, Aaron Alarcon, Monty Boy 98, D-Man, Ruben, Luis Caro, Yuki Iki, Pedro Robles, Chris Jr., Isaac, Koala King 93, Paul DeGrassi, Little 95, Coyote de Peza, Quilly Buckner, Zephyras, Alver, Normal Defate, Joshua Andrade, Jaya Keshav, L, Gary Miles, Nobody 0034, Dragon Spawn 666, J Rule, Sayonori, Alfredo Renteria, Liel Tiram, Liron Sangkap, Eric Tass, Christopher Mash, Echo Ski, Foolish Prophets, Ethan Madison, Louis Strutter, Charles Bailey, Sky T, Diego Ginoza, Nick H, Andre Hamilton, Jason Torres, Sesh, Guy Ansley, Simon Road, Emperor W. USA, Mika Espinosa, George Hage, Pratik Bandari, Aro Dare, Von Joseph, Deriha Skerte, Jackson Early, Smexy, Carl Stephen Bernadal, Tank Bailey, Gareth Hashimoto, Steven Madison, Homelike Drop, Fazli Topador, Nasir, Vasto Lord, Martin Ramos, Marl Barsha, Ralph Ignacio, Karen, Mark Charlie Els, Hansel Ortega, Yellow Wally, Efrain Hernandez, Luca Gaming WTF, William Locke, Jordan Mersha, Jay Magsino, Recru17, Bismarck Munoz, Arion Booker, Kamal Luke, Izat, Mr. Santo, Akshay Divate, M, Wei Jun. Thank you so much for helping out. I'll see you guys in the next video.